Abdur Rehman Cheema is the Dr. Abdur Rehman Cheema is the team leader research for the European Union funded project titled Sindh Union Council Communities Economic Strengthening Support Program at the Rural Resource Program Network RSPN. Before joining PSPN, he has been working in the academia for 3 years in the teaching, research, and the management positions. He has also experience of working with the public sector as an officer in the National Accountability Bureau. Dr. Cheema had started his career by working for the Aga Khan Rural Sport Program and the Research Fellow in 2002. Dr. Cheema has multidisciplinary education with a doctorate in the development studies from the New Zealand, an MBA in the human resource management and masters in economics from the Pakistan. His research interests broadly focus on understanding the development linkages with the vulnerability, disasters, governance, climate change, and the poverty. His doctoral research explored the role of the mosque in the capacity of a community-based religious in the aftermath of the 2005 earthquake in the Pakistan. His research articles have been published in academic journals and as well as in leading national daily newspapers. His correspondence articles have been published in Nature as well. I would like to invite Dr. Abdur Rehman to talk about building future-proof resilient cities.
Assalamu alaikum. Basically, I don't like to be, stand over there, so perhaps bear with me to be more kind of interactive and be with you. Well, as my title says, Rural Support Programs Network, perhaps that might be bringing up a question. What does that have to do with cities and urban planning? And that's correct. My current assignment is basically working for rural areas. However, that does not mean that I have to separate myself from all other research fields. So, we had early this morning ideas about what sustainability means. We did not hear the word resilient, but if you say resilient cities, it sits very well within the overall context of sustainability. And we explore just in a while how does that two link together. So we are talking of resilience, and in this session I would like to go with you what is urban resilience, the links between climate change and disaster risk management, why focus on cities. We know that in Pakistan almost 60% population lives in rural areas. All over the world, 50% of the population is living in rural areas. That is going to move in urban areas in times to come. But why we are focusing on urban areas? Is that a result of urban bias, as we often say? As somebody was saying just before this session, कि हम लाहौर, इस्लामाबाद, कराची की बात करते रहते हैं. What about other cities? Similarly, so is there an economic argument for focusing on cities? Okay, if we tend to agree with that, how we can build resilience in cities? What are some of the examples? What are some of the strategies that we can follow? And what is happening in other parts of the world? As Dr. Imran earlier in this morning shared about Amsterdam, about France, about Europe. So what are other things happening in other parts of the world? Then what is urban ecosystem? What makes urban ecosystem? What are adaptation and mitigation? How we can bring that into our urban resilience framework? What are some of the tools to measure? Is that happening? And finally, just leaving you with some more food for thought if somebody is interested to explore more. So what is urban resilience? In definitional terms, the capacity of individuals, communities, institutions, businesses and systems within a city to survive, adapt and grow, no matter what kind of chronic stresses and acute shocks they experience. So that is what we call urban resilience. It does not mean that you can altogether prevent bad things to happen. They are going to happen. Whether it could be climate change, it could be disasters, it could be some social fragmentation, like we have sectarian clashes, we have terrorist attacks, we have foreign aggression threats. So that can happen. However, what is resilience? That how we can manage we can still live, exist, survive, thrive, and live a happy life. That is what is called urban resilience. How we can make our cities livable. Gareeb, Ameer, Chota, Bada, having car, without car. Those differences have to be there. But what are those limits in which, if they exist, the whole city or the kind of community can have a sense of living together and living a happy life? Okay, now coming to the point, why we need to focus on cities? Well, there could be many reasons, but mainly, these are the cities which are disproportionately contributing to greenhouse gas emissions. These are the places which are causing the big damage. It's not the people who are living in rural areas. It's the hi-fi lifestyle. It's the high energy consumption. It's the standards of living, which, including myself, we all cherish to live. That is what is making our planet less livable and less safe to live. 50% of the global population lives, however, that contributes 80% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. So of course, if you have to fix the wrong guy, you have to find who is the most damaging person. जो सबसे ज़्यादा शोर करता है उसी को point out करेंगे. So that's why we are saying cities are to be pointed out. They need to be fixed because those are the places that is causing the big damage. Well, what else? Cities disproportionately suffer the impacts of climate change. Okay. If they are the bad guys, the good news is they are having the most of it. When something happens, if a rain comes, if an earthquake comes, or अगर किसी गरीब गांव में किसी जगह पे if some few houses fall away, they fall apart, maybe 10-20,000 का नुकसान हो गया. But if there comes a single crack in a high rise, we can imagine that runs into billions. And that's why cities are the places where hi-fi, high-rise buildings are the infrastructure that takes a lot of cost to build. That is the one that is being damaged. Then another reason, we already know that by 2050, 80% of the population is going to live in cities. So those are some of the critical reasons, or the main reasons we are more concerned about urban areas. It does not mean we are ignoring rural areas, but those are the indicators we need to focus on urban areas. Okay. Now, few concepts about, if we unpack resilience, we know the definition by now. If we unpack it, what does this involve? The first thing I would like to share is flexible and low regret measures. Flexible may be very obvious, but in terms of resilience, in terms of cities, that means inclusiveness. That means engaging with the people whose lives we are going to change, whose lives we are going to affect. Participate, getting people's voices in what kind of lifestyle they want to build. As we had planning chief was saying, we would like to build a high rise in Islamabad and Lahore, but how many people would actually like to move into those plazas and into high rise buildings? So that's the kind of thing that means flexibility. Low regret. That means acknowledging there could be not a perfect measure that can 100%, that could be 100% guarantee that the city is safe. So that means low regret. Thinking that if you're going to lose, how much you're going to lose? Again, going to simple, low-cost material, buildings, infrastructure. Not the infrastructure that takes huge amounts of the money if we have to make a choice. As policymakers, we have to make a choice. As Dr. Imran was saying, that he's not opposed to metros as such, but the kind of infrastructure that has been built, that's questionable. Can we do low cost? If we have to lose this one, there is a limit to which we can plan against earthquakes. There is a limit against which we can predict the rainfall pattern. अगर बड़ा सा सैलाब आ जाता है and you have to lose everything, that should be low regret measures. Resilience does not strive for efficiency, but for ways to build to near-term investments and choices that appropriate consideration of long-term trends and worst-case scenarios. Again, linking to the first point, that if the worst things happen, how that means how we can make it resilient, that we have not lost everything and we have lost the ability to rebuild. building on more on that. Individually, we know that we are an unequal society. There are many classes in the society, people living in Bahriya, DHA, gated communities, and people living in slums. Who has to care for resilience? If you build your house well, and वो हर दफा जब बारिश होती तो क्या कि हम तो many of us are enjoying the pleasant weather, but then a breaking news comes. फलाने स्लम एरिया में एक दीवार गिर के उसके नीचे आके 4 बच्चे. So why we don't care for resilience? Because we have taken it as a private good. In fact, communal living, community living, this is a public good. Somebody else whom we assign responsibility, whom we elect to make decisions for us, it is for those people who have to take leadership, who have to take initiative. Just like we are picking up examples from other countries, where in New Zealand people can afford to live in farmhouses and they would like to live. But the state regulations are saying, no, stop here. From here onward, it's an agricultural land. We have to restrict expansion of the city from a certain point. So we have to understand, we have to make this argument that we have to take it as a public good. Safe, affordable infrastructure, services, regulating building design and construction, regulating hazardous activities, influencing land availability and construction requirement. These are the areas where the state, where the government, where the bylaws, construction laws have to come in. We have seen the 2005 earthquake. But has anybody knocked on your door that you are living in Va, you are living in Ahmedabad, you are living in Islamabad, and we know that this is located into an active seismic zone. Has anybody checked on your door? I live in Islamabad, nobody has knocked on my door. Maybe Malik Makan ke paas, I live in a rented house. But anyway, nobody is caring for that. Similarly, how many public buildings are built and they are regularly monitored and checked whether they meet the minimum standards? Vargala Towers, I don't know what has happened to that case, but we know that the owner fled away and those things. So that is the role of the state. Yes, there is a big role for me and you to play, but this is the role that sits with the regulator, with the government, with the state. Okay, now coming to what me and you can do. Encouraging and supporting household and community actions to reduce risk. Well, there are many risks which me and you are creating. Encroaching public land, building on the waterways, pollution. We all know that how the nalas which run away in the city, how people cover them and then make building on the top. Many examples in Karachi. We heard the examples about gardening in the campus, gardening in the houses. Rather than having beauty tree and just for aesthetic sense, we can have some vegetables and fruit grown. So that are the kind of activities and initiatives that lie with me and you. That we rely less on the market and we rely more on fulfilling our everyday needs from our own self as much as we can do. Effective disaster early warning, preparedness and response systems. Well, again, this is the part of the area in which the state is responsible, and I will give some more examples about Karachi heat wave, that when it occurs, what is the difference? But then, building our own networks at the community level, as we pass a lot of SMS and WhatsApp, so that is again, that how we connect to each other. As majority Muslim country, how we use our community institutions, just like masjid. Either we go, we pray and we leave the masjid, or we connect to each other. How we check on the neighbors. कि अगर मोहल्ले में एक शादी है, तो किसी को पता नहीं है, किसी के घर डेथ भी होगी तो दूसरे को पता नहीं है. No place in the world can have a system where they have 100% an effective department that can check on all the people in the city, maybe 10,000, 20,000 if an earthquake or a flood comes. That's not possible. Not even in the US, not in the Switzerland. These are the community or social links which have to be activated. That's why people connect and they pass along lots of information. They check on each other. So then it means the ambit of resilience is not only mandated with the state only. It starts from states, but then there's a lot of room where me and you come in. Okay. Now what's happening around the world? I will talk about this initiative that has started in 2013 by Rockefeller Foundation based in US. In 2013, they picked up 10-12 cities trying to take this awareness to different levels. And picking up the cities and then working with the city planners directly to make plans and taking pledges from them that they will make the cities resilient. Now what this involves, let's have just a 3-minute video clip.
In 1913, only 1 of 10 people lived in cities. Now, over 50% of the world's population lives in cities. We live in a hyper-connected world. Globalization is the word of the day. What happens in one city really influences another city. And the Rockefeller Foundation has really been actively trying to work with cities to address new ideas of urbanization and to help cities really meet their growing and increasing urban challenges. Centennial Challenge is really a call to action, an opportunity for cities to join a network, and we will select 100 cities and work with them to develop technical plans, creative infrastructure financing to enable them to become a resilient city. We'll also be supporting the creation of a Chief Resilience Officer for each of those cities. And of course, the cities themselves will become part of a marvelous network of 100 like-minded cities around the world who are concentrating with our effort and assistance and support to mobilize towards becoming more resilient. Building resilience is about enabling the person or the system or the city to actually rebound more quickly, perhaps fail more safely, to be able to withstand those shocks and to not have them really create the kind of devastation that we're seeing at the present time.
Example how the rest of the world is preparing, is gearing them to build resilience. It includes countries from as low in development index as Ethiopia. Addis Ababa is a part of one of the 100 resilient cities, and as good as New York. So it means the challenges are there. Be it the US, be it Ethiopia. You might be wondering, is there any city among Pakistan? Not so far. India has got 2 cities in this international company. So I wish the people from the Planning Commission will be here. So these are the kind of initiatives that the federal government, that the national level had to be thought to. That what's happening around it, how we can learn into that and how we can build and join those networks so that we take an initiative for ourselves. Well, unpacking the resilience idea more. We usually think, whenever we think of resilience, floods come into our mind, earthquake comes into our mind. But those are not the only things. A lot of emphasis on the socio-economic environment that a city provides. Just like there was a student who was asking that we are not able to have these wonderful ideas because security is a problem. Yes, security is a resilience issue as well. Why? Why some person will plan to snatch the wallet from somebody else? Because the city is not able to provide. But that person is also city developer. So he picks up and wants to snatch it from somebody. So that brings us to chronic stresses. So that means high unemployment, overtaxed or inefficient public transportation system, endemic violence, and chronic food and water shortages. So those are that side of the resilience that does not necessarily trigger it from nature. That is the inequality. That is the injustice in the society. That is the issues of governance that has to be addressed if we want to become a resilient city, or if we want to make a city resilient. Okay, now those I call chronic stresses, and these ones I call acute shocks. To some extent, they are external. Yes, there is a lot of room where we can control them, but a part of them is external. Earthquake, floods, disease outbreaks, terrorist attacks. So it has got both sides. Okay, now coming to the acute shocks side, what is happening around the globe? Many of us will be aware, but just refreshing. We know that sea level is rising, temperatures are going up, precipitation is increases, extreme events are increasing. So what is happening? What are the effects and impacts? What are some of the mitigation and adaptation practices that we can follow, we can learn to make our cities resilient? Okay, I will just mention two of the steps. One is adaptation. What is adaptation? Adaptation aims to lessen the adverse impacts of climate change through a wide range of system-specific reforms. So it's not saying it can completely eliminate, but it can reduce the impact. And we will have an example from our own country in a while. So that means realignment, relocation, design standards and planning of our roads. I studied in New Zealand for 5 years, and hardly there were 5 days when there was not an earthquake. So initially, just like a Pakistani, thoda sa bhi gar hilega and we will run outside. Aa gaya bhi zalzala again. And then, over the period of time, because all the country is in active faults, उसके बाद जब भी कभी ज़ल्ज़ला है, करवट बदल के फिर दोबारा सो गए. Because we knew, even if the worst comes, छत दीवार की बनी, उसके ऊपर हल्की फुल्की 2 लकड़ियाँ गिरी हैं, कोई गिरी तो थोड़ा बहुत खून चून निकलेगा, थोड़ी बहुत बस गुजारा हो जाएगा. So in Japan we know, every day, every other day, lot of earthquakes and high-rise buildings. ऐसे हिलती हैं. I haven't been to Japan, but though a lot of you have been to Japan. So there's a lot of room where we can bring resilience by improved designs. Okay. Now a homegrown example of adaptation. Many of you will remember what happened last year. Not here in Bath, but in Karachi. Heat wave. Nobody had the idea. What's going to happen? All of a day, people wake up, they go to their workplaces, कुछ छतों के ऊपर बैठ के जा रहे हैं, कुछ 3 की छतों के घर उस पर बैठे हैं. And then the temperature shoots up to 45 degrees. And nobody has the idea. कोई वार्निंग नहीं है, किसी तरह का कोई अलार्म नहीं है, हमें पता ही नहीं है कि हीट वेव होती क्या है. तो what happens? 2000 के करीब लोग एक दिन में फौत हो जाते हैं. And which people are mostly affected? Again, जैसे मैंने बात की थी, resilience, we take it as a public good. शायद हम वाली क्लास में से कोई नहीं, बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग, those who used to travel on the rooftops, laborers, street walkers, जो चल फिर के अपना फेरी का काम करते हैं, those kind of people, they passed away. People were not able to speak. Now, there could be many reasons. One of the reasons is, again, as we talked about the bylaws, a lot of high-rise construction that has halted the way of sea breeze. That is the breather to Karachi. अगर वो 10 annually हवा बंद हो जाए, it's difficult to breathe. So that stopped the passage. There is some scientific evidence, phenomena as well, that a lot of wind pressure developments, for some time the air passage is temporarily halted, but a lot of it was due to those buildings. Then again, complicating it further, the role of Karachi Electric, 18 hours, 12-hour no electricity. Then the role of governance. How can you build resilience if there is no water? अगर किसी को बहुत गर्मी लग रही तो पानी की तरफ ही भागेगा ना, but then no water. But thanks God we learned lesson from this one, and I tell you, I got an article published about it in Nature as well because this was very different. Who was the one who brought the alarm bells? Imagine, किसी का कोई guess है कि heat wave का किसको पता चला? अगर कोई कराची से है या किसी को कोई आइडिया है? Anybody? सबसे पहले किसने शोर मचाना शुरू किया कि शहर में क्या हो रहा है?
मीडिया।
हाँ? कौन जी?
मीडिया।
नहीं। मीडिया को भी किसने इन्फॉर्म किया?
ईदी।
ईदी. They used to receive a certain number of corpses, लाशें फौत हुए लोग मिलते हैं. By the mid of the day, huge numbers आ रहे हैं फौत हुए लोग. They said, what's happening? ये क्या हो रहा है शहर में? मैयतों पे मैयतें आ रही, मैयतों पे मैयतें आ रही. They created a panic. कि पता करो भाई शहर में क्या हो गया? कोई बम धमाके की खबर नहीं है, कोई बाहर इंडिया के अटैक की खबर नहीं है, लोग कहाँ से मैयतें आना शुरू हो गए? So thanks God we learned lesson from it. We should also portray the positive side of our country, and I'm glad to say that next year we already knew. And there's one clipping, Director Health Services का महकमा सेहत को खाते heat wave से निपटने के लिए तरबियत नहीं कराएगी. You know, we go around the blame game, but there was a lot of worry and consciousness that this year this should not go wrong. So departments, ambulance services, civil society organization, people like you and me and many better people than us, पानी की वो सबीलें लगाना, doctors की networks का on कर देना, जो ऐसी जगह हैं where lot of laborers work, some people took food over there and water over there, shade लगाना, लोगों को warn करना. So we survived that. There was not a disaster just like the previous year. So that's how the adaptation. Now in a year's time, we cannot stop heat wave. I have another video through which you will come to know and we will realize that what we can do to stop these, to reduce these heat waves. But of course, over a year or over 6 months, nothing can happen. But adaptation can make a difference. Now, Philippines. Every other year we hear a story about Philippines. A storm comes just like we had one time a Nilofer threat. Every year almost we hear about that. Now, they cannot relocate all the Philippines to any other place. So what have they done? In the local government budget, they know this is going to happen. We cannot stop it altogether. So 70% of their budget goes for the allocation for preparedness and procurement of relief, rescue, equipment and stockpiles. So 5% plus 70% in चीजों पे खर्च होता है. So 5% allocation is for calamity relief fund, and that is, we are talking about the local government budget. So that's how cities can become aware, and their planners at the local level can have these kind of budget and allocation and strategies in place. Now, another idea, mitigation. Now what is mitigation? It looks at limiting climate change by reducing the emissions of greenhouse gases and by enhancing opportunity. So this is addressing the root cause. How we can slow down. We cannot stop climate change, but how we can slow it down. Now, building sector has a big role to play in mitigation. How? Integrated design process can help to achieve 75% or more energy savings by adopting green building design as compared to the current practices in building design. Many people I have lived in the rural areas, पेड़ों के लाने में मुझे कोई हरज नहीं है, but वो मट्टी की दीवारों वाले घर गर्मियों में इतने गर्म नहीं होते थे और सर्दियों में इतने ठंडे नहीं होते थे. So we are very fond of brick walls, but how many people are aware, or how many people who have built their homes are aware that you can reduce a lot of electricity bill by using integrated design? Now many of us are, because majburi की वजह से, जिस वजह से we are going solar. So those are the kind of strategies which, and thanks to the national government, they have subsidized a lot of solar equipment, so that is making it cheaper, and they are planning to do it further in more steps. So those are kind of the steps through which we can mitigate, just like in getting inspiration from the example of New Zealand, they know that we are responsible to nature. हम उसको अल्लाह ताला कहते हैं, they call it to nature, and they are taking those steps. And then, how we can make our places? We are blessed with sunlight every day, most days of the year. How we can maximize the use of sunlight so that we reduce our energy consumption and in terms reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, how to measure? हमें कैसे पता चलेगा हम कितने resilient हो गए? So people who are working on this idea, they have designed different indexes. They have got indicators. You can give assigned ranking. You can give them points and scoring. So well, I'm not sure that there might be a resilience index for a campus as well, but there's certainly one for a hospital. So through that checklist, you can assign scores and you can actually get to know at what level of resilience you stand. Now why resilience is important? Has to be part of every urban development, medium, long-term investment and planning, urban governance and hazard management. It has to be must. Why it has to be must? We learn more through this video in a short while. I was on August 6th last month. I was in Hyderabad myself. I had to get to a place, and this was the result of just 1 hour of rain. Now, Hyderabad is the 4th largest city of Pakistan, 2nd largest in Sindh, with population 34 lakh आबादी है. Can anybody guess what is this? तस्वीर जरा दूर से ली क्योंकि पानी बहुत था. Underpass. This is an underpass. It was hard to believe कि जो 15-16 फुट उसकी height है, all of that just like a swimming pool, and this was just 1 hour of rain. And a person who has not been lived more in Sindh while the clouds came. Personally, I was very glad. चलो बड़ी गर्मी है, थोड़ी सी बारिश हो जाएगी. But then I had to stay there a bit longer. So जब भी कभी बादल आते से या अल्लाह थोड़ी सी बारिश ही हो, इससे ज़्यादा. So just it cannot survive 1 hour of rain. This was the situation. I actually myself passed through this water as well. So you can say what Raksha and what told us. So that means resilience has to be built in. It has not to be installed from outside. Our mechanisms, our planning, our governance has to evolve. This has to bring this idea into it. Well, we are talking of the new infrastructure and we are also highlighting the positive sides of metros. But what about ignoring the climate side of our new investments? So what happens? This picture is from Islamabad. 3 घंटे के बाद the metro station is filled with water. So again, our planners, wonderful investment, public good invest is a good, it's required. But what about bringing and thinking and putting on the resilience hat while you are going for these infrastructure projects? Okay. Now, just 3 points. What do we mean by urban ecosystem? That means an environment that looks after our natural environment, just like our flora and fauna. The built environment that is congenial, that promotes our own values, and the socio-economic environment that creates and that removes barrier rather than having barriers. Just like the idea of gated communities, that you create barriers, we create social segregation. इस तरफ हम रहते हैं, उस तरफ वो रहते हैं, because that is not how we can have a truly resilient city. Now, a pathway to future. Just a video clip that will just sum up many of the points I have just made.
This is a city like many others. Like those others, this city is vulnerable to climate change and natural disasters. In the last 30 years, floods, droughts, cyclones, earthquakes, and other natural disasters have killed an estimated 2.3 million people and caused $3.5 trillion in economic damage, leaving places like this devastated for years after a disaster occurs. It doesn't have to be this way. If our city had invested in preventative measures like early warning systems for cyclones, resilient housing, building codes, seawalls to prevent storm surge, or more resilience-minded planning when a natural disaster struck, the damage could have been much less. Investing in climate and disaster resilience may seem like a high upfront expense, but the benefits clearly outweigh the costs. A single disaster can cost up to 3 to 6% of a developing country's GDP, wiping out years of development gains the country has worked hard to attain. This is important now, of course, but climate change is increasing the probability and severity of disasters every year, in addition to posing increasing and serious threat to our agricultural production and health of the population. Not only that, but there are many other trends that increase vulnerability. More at-risk populations, more concentrated assets, and unplanned cities. Risk increases on a daily basis. If we don't invest in resilience now, cities like this simply won't survive. We need to invest in climate and disaster resilience, not only in infrastructure, but across all sectors, including transportation, energy, agriculture, education, health, gender, housing, and livelihoods. Please visit our website to learn more.
Big is the scope of resilience. It's not only transport, it's not only housing, it's not only livelihoods, it's not only agriculture. This is a kind of integrated idea. Only then we can, and that's a pathway to resilience, only then we can achieve or realize the dream of a resilient city. Here are some success stories. If you go on to the, to check on the resilience, the 100 resilient cities stories. So many of the cities, including, you see cities from India, cities from Mexico, developing countries, also from Bangkok, Thailand, and cities from the developed countries. There are real success stories, how they have managed not all the problems, but many of the problems related to climate change and threat. Well, what we need in Pakistan, what are the issues? I would just like to refer you my few months before published article if you are interested. What are the loopholes and gaps regarding disaster management and climate change? What we need to address over there. So there's a detailed undertaking over there. And also I would just like to refer, if somebody is more interested, there are 2 good books electronically available. One is on Strong, Safe and Resilient Policy Practical Guide, and the other one is on Principal Tools and Practices. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. I'm really grateful to Dr. Abdur Rehman Cheema for sharing his view about what do we mean by the resilient cities, why do we need them and how can we create them. And he have very well communicated the role of the communities, the role of the citizens, the role of the government, and the role of the service providers in this regard. I would like to take this opportunity to provide you people with an opportunity to ask the questions in this regard if you are having so.
Session. So, sir, when we know the problem, we know their solution, then still there is no implementation. Then what we should do as a responsible citizen to minimize such disasters in our society?
Yeah, thank you very much. And that's the issue. It does not mean, it's not the case that it's only me, educated person in whole Pakistan who knows what's resilient. There are many other people, even in the government, even in the organization, who go overseas just like me on government scholarship, and a lot of educated people. Well, it's a very good question that if they are not doing their role, what we need to do? Well, there are many steps which we can take. As I just mentioned during the presentation as well, we need to create more places. If we have already those places, we need to connect and use them usefully. As I mentioned, masjid, but that's basically a men's place. Similarly, in Japan, what they have done, at the street level, they have made committees. We don't have many big aged population, but many developed countries, including Japan, have aging population. So, what happened in 1995 in Kobe earthquake? Many old people who were there in their homes, and they have made them separate old age houses. So once the earthquake came, unlike young people who can cry, who can come out or shout and ask for help, 70, 80 साल के बूढ़े लोग थे. So many of them perished over there. So after that, what they have done, they have made those places a part of the normal housing. Also, they have made committees at the street level. They organize with the help of the local community officer or somebody, they organize a street level meeting. जिसमें वो पूछते हैं जी कौन कहाँ रहता है, क्या करता है, अगर ऐसी कोई बात हो जाती है, who can come out for help. So, एक तो चीज़ वो है, there is a big room for social action. The second thing I was talking about the heat wave in Karachi. One idea is about rooftop gardening. हम अगर बहुत छोटे छोटे congested houses में रहते हैं, even slums में रहते हैं, ऐसी बात जहाँ हमारे पास इतनी कनाल का घर नहीं है, we can use our rooftops for gardening. Check it out on internet. It's happening in many places. ऐसी खास तौर पे ऐसी जगह जहाँ पे जगह नहीं, for example Hong Kong, Singapore. So rooftop gardening is an idea. Another idea is about home gardening. If you have a small plot, so rather than कि वहाँ पे आप सारे गुलाब के फूल लगाएं, मोती के फूल लगाएं, आप नींबू का पौधा भी लगा सकते हैं. आप वहाँ पे पालक लगा सकते हैं, धनिया लगा सकते हैं. You can grow mint over there, पुदीना लगा सकते हैं. So a lot of room is there for making local or individual level or communal action. These are some of the ideas you can have more.
आपसे पूछना था कि पाकिस्तान की सबसे अच्छा प्लीज.
First of all, thank you so much for such an informative session. You talked about the words like development of the interpersonal skills and the personal development, individual role, and development of an egalitarian society. But will you please elaborate that how you can implement such a plan or such an idea in an area, in any rural area of Balochistan, where people who are holding most of the resources or who are controlling most of the resources are enjoying their life, and they love that other people who don't have any resources, they are working as their slaves. So how you can develop an egalitarian society with such a difference among the people? How you can talk about the connectivity?
I think many other people like me in the hall, I don't have an answer for this question, okay? It's a too big a question. You are talking of Balochistan, even Sindh land distribution is very unequal. Punjab is better than Sindh or Balochistan. As by virtue of my product, I get a lot of time to spend in Sindh, where 80% of the land is controlled by 20% of the people, and people live as haris. So I think the situation is very similar. Well, again, there is a role which state has to play. We know about land reforms that was tried before as well, once in 60s and then in 70s as well. However, a lot of role of the history of the baggage which we carry, colonial legacy, Ghodipal, Murabbe, ye Nawab, ye Sardar, all of them. I don't think so. We are waiting for a revolution to come. कि उन सब लोगों को एकदम से कर दें. Again, local government के elections हुए हैं. Even in Sindh, I can talk from my personal experience a little bit. The change process, the behavioral change process, it takes a very, very long time. Education, it's not, this kind of change is not likely to come through army or through the outside. Perhaps education is one big area that can make us move step by step towards that. Education perhaps bring awareness, perhaps bring enlightenment, and then you can mobilize people for social action. So no shortcut, please.
I really want an answer. Like you talked about that there is going to be an election or the government role, but as we all know that in Balochistan there exists a system known as Vadera system, which is much more bigger than the government role. Then how you can implement such an idea, or you can deal with such people who have the strict traditions, who stick to their values, or who are strict towards their traditions and they cannot leave them?
Okay, I just have one example from a recent experience visit in Sindh. If you know who's Kohli, जिस तरह के अफ्रीका में घर होते हैं हार्ट टाइप, छोटे छोटे से गोल गोल सर्कल में बने, वो कानों के घर बने होते हैं, बिल्कुल straw houses you can call them. I went to a place in Sindh, you know Hindus live, so Hindus are usually called Kohlis over there. So one of the guy who was there, पता नहीं किस तरह से वो पढ़ गए, but he still lives at that place, but he teaches at an English medium school in the city. So उसने क्या change लेके आई है? उसको वो कहते हैं ज़मीन का खाता जो वो हारी अपने लैंडलॉर्ड के साथ बनाता है. So what usually happens because people are illiterate, तो वो जिसको पंजाबी में कहते हैं कि खर्च करता है तेली तो लिखता है हवेली, वो एक पैसा खर्च करता है लेकिन इतना बड़ा डेट उसके सर पे क्रिएट कर देता है. That educated guy has talked to his landlord. अभी भी वो कोहली हैं, वो हिंदू ही हैं, उसी तरह से वो रहते हैं, उसी घर में रहते हैं. But because of his education, he has talked to his landlord कि वो जो खाते वाली कॉपी ज़रा मुझे भी दिखाए ना, क्या लिखा है, कितने का बीज आया था, कितने का आपने पानी लगाया था, इसकी हार्वेस्टिंग पे कितने पैसे हुए, क्योंकि वो अगर वो हिसाब ना करे तो वो हर दफ़ा हारी के ज़िम्मे ही निकलता है. तो अगेन honestly I don't have a big answer for that. Education, education, education.
डॉक्टर साहब, ये पाकिस्तान की जो सबसे इट्स ओके, पाकिस्तान की सबसे मोस्ट रिजिलियंट सिटीज़ कौन सी हैं? आप जो इंटरनेशनल पैरामीटर जो आपने डिस्कस किए हैं, आपके ख्याल में कौन सी ऐसी सिटीज़ हैं दे आर नियर टू दो स्टैंडर्ड्स?
ऐसा कोई फॉर्मली तो इंडेक्स बना नहीं है, ठीक है, क्योंकि उसके अंदर तो दोनों तरह की चीज़ें आती हैं, वो एक्यूट शॉक्स भी आते हैं और क्रॉनिक शॉक्स भी आते हैं. ऐसा तो कोई इंडेक्स बना नहीं है, इसलिए ऑफिशियली तो इसको बिल्कुल नहीं कहा जा सकता. हाँ, एक जनरल कमेंट इसमें मेरा ये है कि हम सोशली रिजिलियंट हैं, ठीक है, हम स्ट्रक्चर वाइज, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वाइज, गवर्नेंस वाइज, स्टेट सिस्टम वाइज तो बिल्कुल रिजिलियंट नहीं है. उसकी तो हमारे रोज मिसालें देखते रहते हैं. बट परहैप्स आवर ओन वैल्यूज, लॉट ऑफ देम आर derived फ्रॉम रिलीजन, ठीक है. Somehow, because in some years Pakistan has been the #1 charitable nation. सबसे ज़्यादा चैरिटी करने वाले लोग एक साल में पाकिस्तान उन कंट्रीज में भी रहा है. फिलंथ्रॉपी बहुत सारे लोग पाकिस्तान के करते हैं. अगेन, so I think a lot of role that state has to play. Their state is dysfunctional or non-functional. Our own values, our own people are trying to fill that gap up. अब ईडी साहब को हमने अल्लाह पाक के पास रुखसत की है. So there are many EDs who are not as famous as Abdur ED was, but they are there. So,
Thank you.